like to invite Janusz Ostrowski, who are going to present a paper on Robert Tigerstedt and his discovery of Renin. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, chairs. Today I will present in my second speech about Robert Tigerstedt and his discovery of Renin. It is a well-known fact that the kidneys produce many substances that affect the intra-renal blood flow. The renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system is the key system regulating blood flow both in general circulation and locally, including the renal circulation. Individual elements of the system are synthesized in separate tissues of the body under the influence of specific local factors. This system, consisting of three essential elements, renin, angiotensin, and aldosterone, functions as a whole thanks to the fact that its individual elements are integrated based on mutual feedback. On the below we can see very complicated, but it can be more complicated, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. The clinical use of angiotensin-converting enzyme inhibitors, which are part of the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, is considered to be one of the greatest achievements of medicine in recent years. Robert Tigerstedt and Bergman take the credit for the discovery of one of the links in this system, that is renin. It happened in 1897, which is exactly 125 years ago. This is what my short story will be about. Robert Tigerstedt was one of the Scandinavia's most famous scientists of the time, originated from Helsinki, Finland. He completed basic education as Bachelor of Science in 1876 and studied later medicine at the University of Helsinki. His doctoral dissertation on the mechanical stimulation of the nervous system and 10 other original publications made him famous in the neurobiological community. In 1881, Tigerstedt moved to physiology department at the Karolinska Institute, Stockholm, Sweden, where he created a modern laboratory and became professor at the age of 33. After contact with great Karl Ludwig in Leipzig, Germany, he got interested in the central blood circulation. In 1901, Professor Tigerstedt returned to Finland and headed the Physiology Institute, Helsinki. His further activities included scientific work, teaching and socially oriented issues. On this slide you can see also Tigerstedt Institute of Physiology in Helsinki. And this slide I show you information from California State Journal of Medicine about a new textbook of physiology, and on the right two front pages of a textbook of human physiology published in 1906, and second handbook der physiologischen Methodik, published in Leipzig in 1910. Textbook of the human physiology had numerous editions in many languages. Tigerstedt wrote also textbook of physiological methodology, and just before that, physiology of circulation. He published over 200 scientific papers. He was also the honorary doctor at the many universities and founded the International Union of Physiological Sciences in 1889. Robert Tigerstedt was known for a strong personality, critical judgment, idealism, humor, and work hard. He married a Ukrainian Luba Martineau in 1878. They had 3 children. One of them was his successor and professor of physiology at the same university in Helsinki. Robert Tigerstedt was involved in alcohol temperance activity. His pertinent book was distributed in 200,000 copies. Effort to improve the nutrition and quality of food for working people, it was a second main subject which he interested. Tigerstedt was also engaged in the care of prisoners of war and accepted a position as chief for the prison camps, and this was only position after his retirement. On the left side we can see the book written by Tigerstedt about his gymnasium. Tigerstedt was also interested in history of medicine, published a number of papers on the history of medicine by writing a complete history of medicine from antiquity up to his own days. The name document, titled Document from the History of Medicine, unfortunately it is only available in Swedish. Translated also parts of works by such as Paracelsus, Vesalius, Harvey, Malpighi, and Sydenham. Tigerstedt was a member of Nobel Committee. When Albert Nobel died in 1896, he was a key contributor on the committee that promoted and established Nobel Prizes. Tigerstedt tomb in Helsinki and cemetery in Helsinki also. This monument, which we can see in the slide, was donated by the Finnish Medical Society. Tigerstedt wrote only 2 papers about the function of the kidney. First, about the blood supply to the kidneys, which he measured with his famous Stromul, in German, blood flow meter in English. Observed that the kidney blood flow was at least 10 times the mean blood flow of animals. Second was about discovery of Renin. I will continue this. During the 31st International Physiology Congress in Basel, in Switzerland, they printed emblem with the Tigerstedt and his flu meter on this stamp, published in Finland in 1989. The second paper described the discovery of Renin. Its research was carried out during a few short months in 1896-97 because Tigerstedt needed a paper to read at the Congress of Medicine in Moscow, Russia, in 1897. He was a Swedish honorary president at this huge medical congress. He presented his work on Renin and published an extended abstract where he was only author. In the paper published the next year in Skandinavisches Archiv für Physiologie, he included his student Bergman as co-author. There is no doubt, however, that it was Robert Tigerstedt who performed the research and wrote the predominant part of the paper of Renin. In 1886, together with his assistant Bergman, Tigerstedt started a series of 50 meticulously performed experiments with the extract of the rabbit kidney cortex, which when injected to the other rabbits increased blood pressure. The hypothetical responsible substance was called Renin. However, they proved too advanced for the time. Another 40 years elapsed until Goldblatt confirmed the Tigerstedt's theory that substance which comes from kidney increases the blood pressure. We can see this original version of this article titled in Niere und Kreislauf in German and Kidney and Circulation in English. And this is it. I would like to show 2 pictures from this paper. First, the table is table showing the blood pressure response and heart rate in the first successful Renin experiment on November 1896. In this experiment, a 50% increase in blood pressure was noted during the first 2 minutes after injection of the renal extract. And the second picture, you can see blood pressure response in 4 successful Renin experiments. Robert Tigerstedt, on the right and Bergman left presented the landmark Renin paper in 1896. At the time, Tigerstedt was already a renowned physiologist and Bergman was his student. Tigerstedt, who at the time of the discovery was professor of the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, later moved to Finland where he had a position at the University of Helsinki. I talked about it earlier. Bergman worked for some years at the Karolinska Institute at the turn of the century, but then moved to the University of Lund and later became a practicing doctor in Malmö in the southern part of Sweden. The Tigerstedt and Bergman line of Renin research was interrupted for almost 40 years until the importance of the kidney in blood pressure regulation was rediscovered by Goldblatt. In 1934, pathologist Harry Goldblatt established the first animal model of hypertension. This model provided researchers with the tools to delineate the renin-angiotensin system of blood pressure control and eventually to design enzyme inhibitors for the treatment of chronic hypertension. In this slide, I would like to show you landmark in the history of the renin-angiotensin system. I haven't time to explain everything. You can see different date and discoveries concerning renin-angiotensin system. I would like to thank you at the pictures from Warsaw and from Lund because I prepared this presentation together with my friend Jan Kurkus from the University of Lund in Sweden. Thank you very much.
Very much for your interesting presentation. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, please.
You delineated the life of a very successful man. He achieved everything in time, and he got all the honors his work had produced. How was, who will know how was from the temperamental point of view?
Sorry, I didn't understand
This
exactly.
is a man of success, a man who got everything on time and received all the honors he could receive.
Yes, I think that
I would like to understand if we do know anything about his attitude towards the world and the people.
and I think that the discovery of Renin is not such important, but the discovery of Renin and the next series of experiments provide a successful discovery of inhibitor of the renin-angiotensin system, and this treatment has a very big meaning in our time.